Hello, adventurers! My name is Chance. Welcome to my spellbook, and thank you so much for taking a look at the 36th episode of our background series. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be covering a variant, namely the noble, and it's found in the player's handbook, but it is the variant version of the knight. They do have a different feature, so it is worth kind of going over them separately. That being said, a lot of this stuff is going to be quite similar. Still kind of worth knowing, however. If this is the first time you're checking out this video or this series in general, and you'd like to see the series in its entirety, please just click on that little eye icon up at the top corner there, or wait until the end of this video and click on the end card. In any case, let's get started by first checking out its description. You understand wealth, power, and privilege. You carry a noble title, and your family owns land, collects taxes, and wields significant political influence. You might be a pampered aristocrat, unfamiliar with work or discomfort, a former merchant just elevated to the nobility, or a disinherited scoundrel with a disproportionate sense of entitlement, or you could be a honest, hard-working landowner who cares deeply about the people who live and work on your land, keenly aware of your responsibility to them. Now, this does suffer from a problem that I go over quite in depth in the knight video. However, in this one I will keep it brief. There is a certain pattern with certain characters and certain backgrounds where they don't really match. Like, your background will have you being this great folk hero that saved people from dragons and all this crazy stuff, and in reality you're a level 1 fighter. So there's that weird disconnect between your past deeds and your current self. This is easily avoided by just bearing your level in mind when you're designing your character. Like the folk hero is a good example because we've already kind of gone over it with the dragons. A different version of a folk hero, one better suited to a level 1 fighter, is one time you were able to use your creativity and ingenuity to spare the town from a goblin raid, and you can do this by kind of like lighting fires in strategic positions or making loud noises using horns, stuff like that. It's still feasible for a level 1 fighter to be able to do that, and still regain some sense of fame and renown on a local sense. You got to apply that same logic here to a noble. Sure, you might be a landowner, but that's only because you inherited the deed from a dead family member who recently passed away. Something to that effect would be far more likely than you being a well-established merchant already. In any case, let's move on to its mechanics. Its skill proficiencies are history and persuasion. It's always nice to have persuasion as a proficiency, and history can be incredibly useful based on the campaign you're in. Under tool proficiencies, you gain one type of gaming set. Under languages, you also gain one of your choice. Under equipment, you gain a set of fine clothes, a signet ring, a scroll of pedigree to verify your identity and lineage, and a purse containing 25 gold piece. This is all essentially identical to the knight, so it's not really worth going over to any major degree, but I do think it would be interesting what would happen if your scroll of pedigree got stolen from you, and then eventually forged and changed so that someone else got all of your inheritance and status. I think that'd be pretty cool. Now let's take a look at its feature, and this is quite a bit different than the knight. So this one is called Position of Privilege. Thanks to your noble birth, people are inclined to think the best of you. You are welcome in high society, and people assume you have the right to be wherever you are. The common folk make every effort to accommodate you and avoid your displeasure, and all other people of high birth treat you as a member of the same social sphere. You can secure an audience with a local noble if you need to. Very cool stuff. Once again, it is important to bear your level in mind when you plan on using this, and DMs, go over this in a session 0. It's 1000% worth having the conversation, because if a character's going to use this to cheese your game, it's going to be worth putting that into perspective for them. In addition to that, it's likely going to change their outcome and the style of character they have in mind anyways. So, yeah, have the conversation. It'll save you both a ton of headache in the long run. Now let's move on to its suggested characteristics. Under personality trait, the common folk love me for my kindness and generosity. Under ideal, independence. I must prove that I can handle myself without the coddling of my family, and this will tick you towards a more chaotic direction. Under bond, the common folk must see me as a hero of the people, and under flaw, I hide a truly scandalous secret that could ruin my family forever. Now, this is really interesting because it would lend itself to not only some interesting plots, but also some really great character development. Now, the noble I have in mind for this particular set of characteristics would be someone who is who is genuinely in love with the people who serve under him and the locals. However, his family, he feels like he needs more real world experience, and his family is inclined to kind of just teach him what he needs to do to be an effective ruler and just let him live in the life of luxury. So he runs away from home, and maybe he stumbled upon the fact that maybe his family isn't as noble as they lead themselves on to be, and you have some kind of weird proof of that. But it is interesting. I like it. This is likely the kind of noble I would play in a game. That being said, let me know what you think down beneath. Now let's move on to my personal thoughts. Overall, I like the noble. It's a shame that a lot of characters try and abuse it, but I do think it is a solid background if you are realistic about it. That being said, another problem you might run into with this background is there may be other party members with rather unfavorable experiences regarding nobility, and while it's all fine and dandy when you roleplay it, it might lead to some pretty tense moments between characters. However, outside of that, I think it's pretty solid overall. It's meant to be interesting in game, so any points of friction are just going to be a consequence of that. So overall, it's nice. That being said, let me know what you think of the noble down beneath in the comments section. Be sure to mention any thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns you have regarding it. And of course, if you'd like to gain access to a free one-shot, please feel free to go to the guild hall, use code WELCOME, and it is on me. That being said, I hope you have a great day, and as always, happy adventuring, everyone.